Hi, I'm Anna of all trades, and today I have a pretty monumental announcement. We're moving!
I get my hands dirty, they show me no mercy, so I just keep working.
This move comes as a huge surprise, and in a lot of ways it's very bittersweet because I've put my blood, sweat, and actual tears into building this property. But it also brings with it a myriad of opportunity for doing things bigger and better. And we're getting in Nashville, Tennessee, 10 times what we have here. And with that comes so many new projects, and I cannot wait to take you along on that journey. But as excited as I am for what's coming, it's really hard for me to leave this place because I've put my heart and soul into turning this place from the dilapidated mess that it was into the dream farm that it is now. But as bittersweet as it is, I have something that very few people have, which is video evidence of every single project that I did on this property from the day we bought it. It was here on this property that I learned how to build my first fences and hang my first gates. And there is a pretty big difference in these fences that I built when I first got here and these fences. And speaking of these fences, part of this fencing project was also re-landscaping this whole front area of the property. When we came here, this looked awful. There was trees that hadn't been trimmed in 20 years. There was bushes that were overgrown. This hillside, as you came up and looked at our property, just didn't look good. And now not only does it look amazing, it also has productive fruit trees that are going to make good, positive use of this space. When we first bought this property, we knew that we had 2-ish acres of forest, but we had no idea what this portion of the property looked like because we simply couldn't get to it. It was so overgrown that we literally couldn't walk through it. And so a big project was, by hand without any machinery, using machetes to cut a path and create walkways so we could actually see and utilize over 2/3 of the property that we owned here in Seattle. And as part of that, we discovered a broken down shed that I was able to convert with the help of my best friend April Wilkerson into a tiny house. And that was probably one of the most challenging and amazing projects of my entire life because I learned how to build a building, I learned how to frame, I learned how to put on a roof, I learned how to do insulation and wire for electricity, and now here we've got something that used to be a rotting structure that was contaminating the ground below it, and we've got a new structure that is actually useful and pretty awesome back in the woods on our property. Another fun thing that we found on the property is a pond and a creek, and so to be able to put the tiny house facing those things, and again, back behind is where the sun sets. So here we've got a tiny house or an office or whatever the next person wants to imagine using it for, facing the most beautiful view on our entire property. And the funny thing is, when we bought this place, we had no idea we even had anything with a view. So that was a pretty exciting thing to find as well. When it came to the structures on this property, everything needed renovation and repair. The barn, we had to fix a lot of siding and do fascia stuff and paint it. And then I had to outfit the interior of the barn so that it worked properly. The barn needed to be turned into a barn again, so I had to build stalls and put up doors and do electrical work so that we had lights. I had to bring a water line down here. We had to put in French drains, and that was probably the largest scale project I've ever done in my entire life because it involved literally digging a drain field. Do you mind? It involved literally digging a drain field so that this was not constantly underwater. I had to, in the process of that, learn about hoof rot and how to maintain my animals' feet when they're in a soggy climate like Seattle. But now, thanks to that drainage work, we have a dry barnyard all the time. That keeps the inside of the barn dry. It keeps the animals healthy. It keeps their hooves healthy. And they've got a nice dry place to play all winter as it's pouring down rain in Seattle. And then of course there's the garden. And when we got here, this was a patch of dirt that couldn't grow a dandelion if we tried. And this was back before I had any heavy equipment. So fencing this in and building up the soil and establishing the garden beds with a shovel and a wheelbarrow was an incredible undertaking. But now I can look back and see the genuine fruit of all that labor. And now I look at this space and I'm absolutely astonished considering what was here when I got here 4 years ago and what it is now. And putting in the garden wasn't just about mounding up some dirt and planting some seeds. There was tons of infrastructure that went into this as well. We put in irrigation and built the trellis system. This is my bottom one, yep. We built the chicken coop and created that whole composting system as well. I built the greenhouse over there. I learned how to keep bees, and I raised my own pollinator population to help keep the garden going. And then there was tons of work learning how to plant perennials and things that would continue to come back every year and get things established that were 4-year investments, like my fruit trees and my berries and things that are just now starting to actually produce a harvestable crop. Another thing that has been an absolute dream of mine is to learn how to use a wood-fired oven and learn a whole bunch of antiquated cooking methods. And so I was able to build this outdoor kitchen and utilize this oven a ton. And I learned so much during that process as well. And of course, a big part of having the pizza oven was having a place that you could put something that weighs 1,100 pounds. So I built this stand, and then when I could afford it, I invited some of my friends to come out and help me rebuild the deck as well. We're about to put the new deck in, and we're just talking strategies. We're also getting rid of the huge tripping hazard that was that little space right there in front of the pizza oven. And now this space is an absolute dream place to host farm-to-table dinners of ingredients that we've gotten in the garden, wood that we've chopped here on the homestead, and then cooked here in this wood-fired oven. The absolute biggest undertaking on the farm so far has been rebuilding this building. When we got here, this was a condemned building that was suffering flooding for most of the year, and I rebuilt it from the inside out, and I created what has been up to this point my absolute dream shop. I've got my wood shop, my metal shop, and my blacksmithing shop. All three of these things being things that 4 years ago, working out of my laundry room in our house, I never would have imagined I'd have access to. And in here, I have the ability to build and to create literally anything that I can dream up. It's been a fantastic place for me to invite friends to come and collaborate together. It's been a space where I've learned so much, and I've been able to hone my own craft, no pun intended, so that I can go out and teach all over the country. And it's nothing short of incredible to remember what this space was like when I came here, and to look around and see the space that my friends and I have created working together. Creating these spaces and outfitting them properly has also given me the opportunity to take on projects that I never thought I could. So here I have a space that I can fabricate things that I need around the farm, work on vehicles that I never thought I'd have an opportunity to work on, and expand my knowledge base from the wood shop into a whole nother realm. And part of that expansion of knowledge came out to the forge, and I learned how to make my own tools. And now between these 3 shops, I am able to literally make whatever I can dream up. And some of my larger scale long-term projects like this one are going to come with me. And so I'm going to be able to share the next steps of this journey just in a new location. Another thing that's both incredibly exciting and incredibly daunting is that at the new place, I don't have a wood shop. So it's exciting because I get to build my absolute dream shop, and it'll be a very, very different project than restoring my old shop, because it's not going to be renovating a condemned building. It's going to be dreaming up exactly what I need to be able to continue to learn and continue to teach. But it's also extremely daunting because I need a lot of space for all my projects, and that is no tiny house as far as scale of building. But probably the most important thing that I have learned working here on this property is that I am capable of doing infinitely more than I ever thought possible, and that if I'm able to mobilize other people within my community to learn from and to help out, we can literally build a place that dreams are made of. And of course, because I know everyone is going to want to know, of course, all of the animals are coming with us, and I know that's going to be an absolute logistical nightmare getting them transported from Seattle to Nashville. But a huge reason for buying the piece of property that we did was because we just thought about how happy they're going to be there, and just the thought of watching them run through the pastures and the farm that we did buy was probably its single greatest selling point for us both. As excited and hopeful for the future as I am, I would be lying if I said that it wasn't in any way hard for me to leave this place, because this is where I've spent the last 4 years of my life working full time to create something that was my dream, and it still very much is my dream. And after all that hard work, it finally is the place that I envisioned it would be. Everything is functional and there's so little maintenance at this point, and it's just a place that can now be just enjoyed. I'm able to go and work in my workshops. If I feel like working on a woodworking project, I can go into the wood shop and it's set up and ready to use. Same thing with the welding, fabrication, and blacksmithing stuff. Then too with the farm. When we first moved here, even taking care of the animals, because there wasn't irrigation and there wasn't infrastructure for them, was just an enormous chore. But now it's all ready. And so to turn around and to walk away from and so to think about leaving this place after I've put every piece of me into building my dream is not an easy thing. And to that end, I need your help. I want to find someone who's like me, who can be a good steward of this place, to come over and to take over where I'm leaving off. Someone who is going to see the potential in this place and is going to continue to carry on the work that I've done here. Someone who's going to love and appreciate the things that I've built here, rather than to see them as a responsibility and a negative. Just the thought of coming back here next year for a visit and seeing the things that I've done either neglected or removed completely is almost too much for me to bear. So if you know anyone on the east side of Seattle who is looking for their ultimate dream homestead, please have them contact me.